Yeah, hello, what's up, you guys? Thank you very much for watching my YouTube video. Yes, and it's been a while, since the last time I posted the video. I've been busy, and it's been like a week or so. Well, anyway, today I want to talk about what kind of things that I've been doing, to improve or relearn English. Because and as I mentioned on the earlier video, that I've been trying to relearn English for the last 10 months and a half, I think, and then I was doing several stuff to improve my English speaking skills. So I thought that maybe if I talk about what kind of thing I've been doing for the last 10 month and a half, maybe it might be informative, or it might at least give a hint or something for those who is struggling to learn English right now. Because when I was younger, I was struggling to learn English, so maybe that my way of trying to learn English might help, might work for those who is struggling right now. So yeah, that's the reason that I am filming this video and talking about that kind of stuff. Well, anyway, as I said earlier, and also that on the previous video, I've been trying to relearn English for the last 10 months and a half, now, and then it was yeah, very beginning of the February I started to try to learn English, and then for the first 5 months I was doing a lot of shadowing, right? And then every day, as long as possible I was doing shadowing, and then I was doing the shadowing only on that news broadcast. The reason I decided to do the shadowing on that news broadcast is that because even though they speak kind of fast, but still they are professionals, right? So they speak very clearly, even though they're speaking very fast, but very clearly, and it's, speaking in a very standard English. So I thought that maybe if I just keep doing the shadowing for like maybe, well, actually when I started out with this my English relearning journey, at the beginning of the February, I thought that maybe I need only like maybe 2 or 3 months, if I just keep on doing the shadowing every day on the news broadcast, and I could remember everything I forgotten, and then I start to be able to speak English as I was doing before. But I realized that after 2 or 3 months after I started doing this shadowing, I realized that I didn't have anything to brush up with, because at that moment I you know yeah, as I said, I thought this is a brush up, but it wasn't, because I forgot English completely, and then I have to relearn everything from the scratch, so that's something that I realized after 3 months of doing the shadowing. So yeah, well, anyway, when I first started out, doing this shadowing, at the beginning of February, I couldn't speak English, at all. I mean, if I try to say something, try to speak in English, or everything I could say was just a few words, and there's no way that I could speak in sentences like I'm you know, doing right now, right? So at the level of my English, I was a very very beginning, very beginner, very elementary. So I think that yeah, my English level was very very low, at the February, right? So yeah, as I said earlier, yeah, because soon I realized that it was not a brush up, but trying to learn English. So I become do the shadowing harder than before, and after that 3 months, when I realized that I don't have nothing to brush up with. Well, anyway, after 3 months of doing that, doing shadowing with the news broadcast and doing the shadowing, I kind of become be able to speak English again, right? So I thought that maybe I need something else to further improve my English speaking skill. So that was when I started posting these videos to my YouTube channel. I think that in a couple months, a couple of weeks ago, I posted a video that in which I talked about my making a speech, every day on a certain subject, right? I made a video and posted it, maybe last week or that week before. But anyway, you know, it is the same kind of thing. The reason that I decided to do make a video and post it to my YouTube channel is that because it's gonna be a great practice for speaking English, and also at the same time because I was very struggling when I was younger, trying to learn English. So I thought if I make a video, talking about how I learned English when I was younger, I thought that it'd be great benefit for me and also the viewer. I mean, because there's I know that there's a lot of people. I knew there's a lot of people, a lot of English learners struggling to be able to speak English, right? So I thought that maybe I'm gonna talk about the way I learned how to learn English when I was young, and then again I thought it's gonna be a great practice, right? So first video, for the first video, and because at that time it was only the 3 months, and after I started out with this my English learning journey, so I was not confident, and I don't feel like that I could keep on speaking without any script or anything like I'm doing right now. So I made a script for the first video, right? So in the first video, I was kind of like just reading through the script, and then there's nothing, just reading the script. That's everything I could do, after 3 months of in my English learning journey. And then for the second video, I made a script again, and then I started out with just reading the script again, like I did, on the first video. But maybe that's maybe couple minutes after I start filming that second video, I felt that my brain kind of like started to be out with the English sentences without looking at the script. It's kind of like the same kind of feeling that when I had when I was fluent in English, right? I don't have to think anything. It's the same kind of feeling that I would have when I speak in Japanese, which is my mother language, right? So I don't have to think anything. It's kind of like I would have this image of what I want to say. It is not in the language. It is not in Japanese or in English. It's just this like a photographic image in my head, and then you just it I feel like that my brain just converting this image into the English language so that I don't have to, second half of that video, and I was speaking without looking at the script. I was just speaking off my head, So that was the moment that when I felt that this feeling is coming back. I don't have to think anything in my head. It's just unconsciously, same kind of feeling that I'm speaking in mother language. It's just that sentences just comes out naturally without thinking. Just keep coming out. This is the feeling that I had. Wow. I think that I get back, when I was, after, on the second video of my, for my YouTube channel, right? So from then on, I'm kind of trying to post a video every day, and then, well, not every day, but at least every couple of days, I try to do that, and then I've been doing that for like 5 months, doing that shadowing on the news broadcast, but one thing I realized at that moment is that well actually doing the shadowing on the YouTube news broadcast is not working very good. I was expecting more improvement my English skill, but I couldn't achieve that. I thought, and then I thought that I at that moment I had some doubt about doing the shadowing on the news broadcast doesn't make me fluent in English again. The reason I thought that was because when I try to do the shadowing, I'm listening carefully to the speaker, right? At the same time, I have to trying to speak, mimic what they're saying. So I think that well, I think doing the shadowing is one of the best way to physically train yourself speaking in English, because English language has the sound that our mother language Japanese doesn't have. So you need to practice or train yourself, train your mouth or train your muscle around your mouth, so that you could pronounce that words, or I mean a sound, English sound, right? So I think that by doing shadowing, it's kind of like forcing yourself, forcing your mouth, to make that English sound. So I think that it's great practice to physically train yourself, to speak in English. But I, at that moment, maybe 5 months of doing shadowing every day, I feel like maybe that this is not a best way, because of that, because of the reason that I just mentioned. So yeah, I was thinking, I was having a doubt, about the doing shadowing, at that moment, after 5 months of doing that, and then after that, sixth months and the seventh months of my English relearning journey, I've been busy, on my doing my own, business, and then I actually didn't have time to, work on, trying to, relearn English, from then on, for those 2 months, 6 months, 7 months, I actually didn't do any shadowing, you know. So instead, because every day I'm working outside in a daytime, right? So when I get home, I was so exhausted, and I didn't feel like trying to rely English, do something that intend to improve my English speaking skills. So instead, what I was doing for these 2 months was I was watching a YouTube video, and then it is not that my intention was not to improve my English skill, but I simply watching those videos as entertainment, right? So that I could have a fun, watching those videos, or maybe I only watched that video that of my interest, so that I could watch them, enjoy them, and then as an entertainment, I was watching those videos, and then well, actually during this 6 month, 2 month, right, 6 months and 7 months, I did nothing to improve, intended to improve my English speaking skill. Instead, I was just watching YouTube video and having fun, right? So but after 2 months, I realized that my English speaking skill, improved dramatically during this 2 months. Even though I didn't do anything that intend to improve my English speaking skill, I was just simply enjoying the contents of the videos. But still, I felt that my English speaking skill, improved dramatically. So and that was when that I realized that input is much more important actually than the actual speaking practice or something. Because yes, because we are trying to become an English speaker, so we need to speak out, speak up, and then trying to practice speaking. But at the same time, actually the input is more important. Because we don't have any input, we have nothing to output, right? So that's the belief that I already had when I was younger, trying to learn English, and then after this 2 months, doing nothing, intend to improve my English skill, instead just trying to simply enjoying the content, English content, and then I realized that my English speaking skill improved dramatically, right? So that was the moment that I really feel that input is much more important than the output practice. Yes. Well, anyway, yes. So it's been like a 7 month, right? That when since I started to rely English, and after 7 months, I kind of like I feel much easier. When I try to speak English because I don't have to think. English just comes out, even though I'm making a lot of mistake, grammatical mistake, or maybe sometimes I mispronouncing English words. Yes, I'm making a lot of mistake, but still, I feel much better because English just comes out more naturally. Just like I'm speaking in my mother language, which is Japanese, right? So that's the most important thing, right? Because I have no stress, communicating or speaking English. That all matters, to me, at that moment. So well, anyway, yes, that's a thing that I've been doing, and then yes, I realize that input is more important than the output. But still, one thing that I've been doing, since I started to rely English, at the beginning of February, was talking to myself in English, right? Every time whenever it is possible, I'm trying to talk to myself in English, right? While I'm driving or maybe at home doing nothing. Sometimes that I'm talking to myself, so that I could practice, speaking English. But at the same time, again, I think that input is more important, right? So every day, there's no single day that I don't watch any YouTube videos. Every day I watch YouTube video, and at the same time I'm trying to enjoy it. And then the reason that I think that my English speaking skill improved dramatically, during the 2 months is that I was just listening to English, enjoying the content. So doing this, if you do the shadow, if you try to do the shadowing, you have to listen to it, and then also that you are trying to mimic, right? So you have to produce the sound, actually trying to speak English. So your mind is kind of like while you're listening to it, you have to then I'm talking about the concentration, right? Because when I am watching YouTube video, as an entertainment to have a fun, my concentration is all of my concentration is towards to this the content and what the speaker is saying, right? Try to understand it. All of my system, your brain and everything is devoted to trying to understand what they're saying. So in that situation, I think that the human being has much more concentration on doing this listening to understanding of what they are saying. Trying to understand what they're saying. I think that that is the reason why I kind of like while I'm watching those movies, YouTube videos, I don't feel like trying to learn anything. I just try to enjoy the content. So in that case, that my brain kind of like even though I'm not trying to intentionally trying to learn English, my brain kind of like unconsciously picking up the information of English language, and then when I try to speak, actually talk to someone in English, this I don't know, I maybe I would say it is this unconscious mind or unconscious yes, unconscious mind or something, brain. I don't know how to explain this, but yes, when you try to learn English, a lot of times a lot of English learners trying to memorize or trying to understand, right, consciously, their intention is trying to learn it that way. But while I'm, listening to English and trying to enjoy as an entertainment, our mind will be more concentrate on trying to understand what they're saying so that we could enjoy the content, right? So if we do that, I think that the brain kind of like unconsciously pick up information. So when I speak in English, as I mentioned earlier, I don't think anything. It's kind of like unconsciously speaking in English. So the my brain could I think this is what is happening. But when I try to speak in English unconsciously, the thing that my brain runs unconsciously, while I'm watching the YouTube video, as an entertainment, my brain just output those information. So that is the reason why my English speaking skill improved a lot, by that way. Instead of trying to learn English, consciously, I kind of like try to learn the English language unconsciously. So when I speak in unconsciously, those information I could be able to store it in my brain, just comes out, unconsciously. It's kind of hard to explain, what kind of feeling I have, what it's like, but I think what is happening, and then because as I said, I concentrate on trying to listen to them, or listen to what the speaker is saying. At the same time, I have a lot of a lot of concentration on that content. I think that eh, when I am watching YouTube video, as an entertainment, my mind is concentrated on the content, right? Instead of trying to understand the English language, I was just trying to concentrate on what the speaker is saying, and then when I do that, I try to you know this is something that I've been doing always, since when I was younger. I try not to, uh, yeah, I would never try to, translate in my head. Instead, I'm trying to kind of like, everything I listen, everything I read, in English, I try to kind of like visualize everything, visualize every English word instead of trying to, translate into the Japanese, that is my mother language. Instead, I'm trying to always trying to visualize English words instead of yes translation. That's I've been always trying to do. So that that's one of the things that helped me a lot to improve my English speaking skill while I'm listening to English, because it's kind of like it's it's kind of like forcing my brain to understand English, like unconsciously, without translation, without just forcing my brain to visualize everything, visualize every English word so that I could understand, and instantly. So if because I'm keep doing this, while I'm trying to speak English, you know a lot of time I don't have to think in my head. A lot of time I don't have to you know try to construct English sentences in my head before I actually speaks up, and it's just English just come English sentences just comes out naturally without thinking. So because that the input, that the way I'm receiving the input is that the same way, right? Just unconsciously, just trying to train my brain, to react to the English words, directly, without any translation. So I'm just keep doing this, so while I'm trying to speak English, sometimes that I would say something that I never realized that I learned. For example, like like English words or phrases I never used, but while I'm trying to speak English, because I'm speaking unconsciously, this those information I stored in my head, unconsciously just comes out, so it's I would say it's almost like I'm magic, because I didn't know that, even though I don't know, I don't realize that I learned some words or phrases. It just comes out, without thinking, unconsciously, right? So I think that that's the way, I've been trying to learn English, instead of trying to translate or anything. Just, so that my brain would react to that English words or sentences, without, translation. Just, visualize that the English sentences, right? So that could get a feel of that this sentence instead of translations, right? So that's that. Or basically the thing I've been doing is basically this, and then yes, I for the first 5 months I was doing shadowing, do I was doing shadowing on the news broadcast for the 5 months, and then sixth and seventh month, I kind of like and didn't do anything that I intend to improve my English. Instead, I was just enjoying the content of YouTube videos, and then my English speaking skill improved a lot. Because always I'm trying to do this, trying to visualize the English language instead of translations. So that is why that I became be able to speak English again. Yeah, still, I have to improve a lot. There's a lot of things that I need to improve more. So that I could bring up that level of my English skill up to it was before. But still, I could be able to speak English again, and I could communicate with other people. Because of that, because I'm always trying to visualize the English language. So this is something that I've been talking about on the previous video. That's truly understanding the basic English. That's what I mean. What I meant. If you fully understand, or if you could visualize and everything in English, basic English, and then you got a feel of the language, you should be able to speak English in a daily conversation basis. Only the reason that you can speak English, that means that you have not truly understand the basic English. So this is something I've been trying to say, in the previous video, and then that this is how I got this, feel over the basic, English language, right? So yes, as I said, for the first 5 months I was doing the shadowing. At the same time, I was talking to myself, every time possible, just to talk to myself so that I could practice the actually speaking in English, right? And at the same time, well, from that maybe 5 months after, I've been trying to, no, actually 3 months after, I started posting these videos so that I could practice actually speaking English, like making speech, a presentation on a certain subject. I've been doing it every day, but after 10 months and a half, I feel that input is more important, and the way how you receive the input is very important. If you try to receive input, for example, like if you listening to the English content, and then if you try to translate in Japanese to understand it, it doesn't work. It is not an effective way. Instead, just try to visualize the English language instead of trying to understand it through that Japanese translations. So that you could truly have understanding the basic English, at the same time truly get a feel of the language, basic English language. So that will be the way that you be able to speak English, naturally or without hesitations. That's the only way I think that you could achieve that goal. Yeah, these are the things that basically, what I have been doing for the last 10 months and a half, to improve or learn how to speak English, right? So I think that this is my way of learning English, and then I hope that this might help you, or at least give you a hint, for those who is struggling to learn English, for those English learners struggling to learn English or improve their speaking in English. I mean, yeah, I hope that this video might give you some kind of hint or something. Well, anyway, thank you very much for watching my YouTube video, and then I'm gonna see you on the next video. Until then, bye.